What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the TD Podcast. We are your hosts, Tony and Dak, and in today's episode, we are getting into the nitty gritty of the New York Football Giants offseason. We have a mock draft later in the episode going over their front office and some additions that they made to their roster, as well as some remaining holes. So, without further ado, let's jump into this uh, next episode of the NFL offseason's deep dive that we've been running with for the last 5 weeks because this is now pick number five. Yeah, pick number five, New York Giants. And then next week we have the last one. So, New York Giants, obviously based in New York. Their star players that are off the top of my head, Dexter Lawrence, their front defensive line is kind of nasty. Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter has the potential to be nasty. Um, I'm forgetting who their other edge rusher is. Dexter Lawrence, and then Jackson Dart is high potential, and then Malik Neighbors, if he comes back healthy, they could have a splendid wide receiver um, heading that group. Now to their front office coaching staff. John Harbaugh is now the Giants head coach after firing Brian Daboll late last year. He brought in Matt Nagy at offensive coordinator. That decision is interesting to say the least. Matt Nagy has not had a great, um, how do I say this? A great track record, I guess, for the NFL
No,
recently. Um,
it's not.
he sucked in Chicago, and he made the Chiefs bad, depending on how you look at it. Um, so very interesting. And then Denard Wilson at defensive coordinator. I don't know much of anything about him, but he is their defensive coordinator. So jumping into their notable moves from this offseason, they signed Isaiah Likely to a 3-year, $40 million contract, bringing John Harbaugh brought in another Raven. Tremaine Edmonds, 3 years, $36 million. I liked that signing. Um, I wanted the Raiders to get him, but obviously he didn't, or they didn't. So they bring in another plus defender in their front seven. So that again, their front seven is going to be nasty. And then Greg Newsome as well for the corner. 1 year, $8 million. So something that's light but a prove it deal. We'll get further into that cornerback room later in the episode. A little foreshadowing for you. Um, Notable holes
I
still.
think
Oh,
I think before we get too far into this episode, I think as we're mentioning as we just mentioned the coaching staff, I really wanted to say just like I like what the Giants did with John Harbaugh. I think with John Harbaugh, I think he can kind of do what the Patriots did last year.
mm,
And I think if Harbaugh is able to do that, it kind of proves to me that um, Lamar Jackson is not that good of a quarterback. And the Ravens aren't that good of a team outside of him. If he's able to go in and get to the Super Bowl with the Giants, because I think the Giants are a good, young, promising team. We were you were very high on them last year. You said that they were your best bad team,
mhm.
and I think they were only a bad team because of they wanted to be a bad team. I think this team could be really good. They got a lot of pieces, a lot of young pieces everywhere. We just went through um, their notable players, like, they have a lot of key young players in a lot of positions,
Mhm.
um, and I think this team could be really good next year. I think they could be a wild card team for sure, and I think with Harbaugh there, I think there's no excuse, um, why they won't be, here in this first year.
Yeah, I think it also adds to it that there's a bunch of turbulence and tumulation. I don't even know if that's a word in their division right now, especially with the Eagles. I haven't noticed or kept up with it, but apparently there's a bunch of Jalen Hurts drama right now, which is interesting. But going back to the Isaiah Likely thing before I get too far, um, it's interesting that he brought in Isaiah Likely to see if they actually use him. He never ended up getting used very well in with the Ravens. I held him on my roster for 3 seasons in Dynasty fantasy football, and he never was the starter, which is actually insane. So bringing him in with Theo Johnson is quite interesting in my mind. Um, so getting back to the notable holes, I feel like their offensive skill positions were lacking reliability. Um, Not all of them per se, but definitely receiver. Both Malik Neighbors. Well, actually, all three of their guys were hurt. Malik Neighbors was hurt last year. Darius Slayton was hurt last year, and Darnell Mooney was also hurt last year. And Darnell Mooney has a drop problem on occasion. Darius
Darnell
Slayton,
Mooney wasn't on their team last year, was he?
no, he was a Falcon.
Okay,
Um,
that's what I thought.
Darius Slayton only had one touchdown, so he didn't reliably get in the end zone. And again, Malik Neighbors was hurt. So they need to bring in receiver. And then
Correct.
secondary, they have a lot of promising young players, but you can never have too many of those guys. You would obviously want less promising young players and more high skill young players.
And they start
Promising is
showing it.
great. Yeah. You want players that are going to start showing it quickly. Um, and I think promising and young is great, but they have to develop into the um, real player that you want them to be. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting there hoping, like SpongeBob and Patrick, waiting for that magic conch shell to talk to them and tell them they can eat food. Now, getting to this three-round mock draft, it was interesting because the Giants only have two picks. Carnell Tate and Colton Hood are who I have them taking in first and second round. Carnell Tate is a 6'3" receiver out of Ohio State. I think he'd be an awesome comparison or matchup with Malik Neighbors, assuming he comes back healthy. And until Malik Neighbors comes back, I think he would be a great placeholder and then a stellar number two receiver behind Malik. Um, Malik bringing the playmaking ability and shiftiness, and Carnell Tate bringing. I'm assuming I'm going to throw mud at a wall and hope I'm right here, but Carnell Tate bringing the deep ball ability and contested catch, being 6'3". I hope he would be able to make that work for him. And then Colton Hood, I don't know much about. I'm not going to lie, but adding a solid adding a solid young corner again in the second round is something that the Giants should look at doing. Both these players were in these spots both every time that I did this mock draft, so I figured they're pretty safe picks. Any opinion on
I
either of
would
these
say
guys?
if the Giants select Jeremiah Love with the fifth overall pick,
That'd be
there's
interesting.
problems. There's problems. I've saw and I've heard that they've done a lot of research and they've done a lot of time. And Jeremiah Love, if you, I,
You're
I,
just a
I
Tyrone
would
Tracy
be
truther because you went to
not
the same
even
school as him.
not even that, but like you have a 1-2 punch already. Like Cam Scadaboo's clearly going to be RB1. Why put that in jeopardy and go get some other like high value at 5 than going and getting the same value that you kind of already have?
Yeah.
Um, I, I've been seeing that Harbaugh loves Jeremiah Love, so no idea with that situation. Um, but
The,
yeah, getting defense and filling in those holes. You have a lot of young players. You have a lot of potential, but potential only means potential. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
results, and you
Yeah.
need results.
The real
And you need
question is,
to
will
get in there.
Jeremiah Love even be there at number 5? That's what we were talking about in the winning the draft episode a couple days ago. Is there's a whole lot of really good players, and it's not really consensus anywhere. I mean, the
No,
top 5, you probably shouldn't take the best running back over like Arvell Reese or Sony Styles, but it depends on how you're going to use them because there's a lot of rumors going around that Arvell Reese is more of a outside linebacker than an edge player, but he wants to play edge. So it really just depends on how you're going to use him. But yeah, that's our Giants episode. Sorry, Giants fans, for not like any long crazy episode, but uh, you guys didn't really do much. You didn't do anything crazy. You've only got two first round or two picks in the top 3 rounds. Um, yeah, you guys just had a quiet off season. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Just you guys had a good roster already. You just gotta get these players up to speed and playing the way that John Harbaugh has his players playing. Any closing thoughts, Dak, before we close out this episode and get these guys on the road?
no, sorry. I was on Twitter and I was seeing a video of Luka Doncic like bawling his eyes out. Um,
No, that's not good.
I would just say the Giants are very young, promising. To see what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could be potentially a playoff team. And it's now we're all seeing, even in college football, where you're seeing a team go worst to first,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what the Patriots did last year. Um, Not necessarily first, but they got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal, I think, for every team now. And I think the Giants have a really high potential of doing that.
Yeah. I think their biggest problem is going to be that their division is kind of good. Like they got to get over the Cowboys, and then if the Commanders actually come back and play like they did 2 years ago, then they have more competition there as well. But the Eagles depends on what they actually do, if they can get over their woes or if they lock in and play football or not.
By
You know.
being in their own way.
Yeah. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Giants fans, let us know down below what we missed, if we're idiots, all that fun stuff. Um, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Follow us down below on those that runner. You can reach us here at YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and we have a Twitter account as well. It is also the TD Podcast with a similar logo, not similar, the same logo as well. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great weekend and happy Easter. Peace.